Welcome friends, Ed here from Graveyard Excursions, and today I'm in Millbrook Cemetery. Well, actually it's called Nine Partners Cemetery in Millbrook, New York. And this is the final resting place of legendary musician Ric Ocasek from the Cars. And it took some doing to find this place, but it's a beautiful cemetery, and it wasn't that hard to find it, to be honest with you. I thought it would be a lot harder than it actually turned out to be. But this roadway comes up here, and then if you pan down right over there, that is where Mr. Ric Ocasek is laid to rest. So let's go check it out.
But you kept it going till the sun fell down. You kept it going.
Very interesting tombstone. Ric Ocasek, 1944 to 2019. Okay, he was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and he lived with his parents there. His father he worked for NASA, and his father was heavily involved with system analytics or something like that. And he lived in Baltimore until he was 16 years old. His father was being relocated back to his father's hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, to work at NASA over there in 1960. So Rick started attending Maple Heights High School and ended up going to, I believe, Baldwin Wallace for schooling. He eventually dropped out of there in 1963. He was getting involved with the music. And in 1965, he ended up meeting up with Ric Ocasek, who also lived in the Parma area. He was going to Valley Forge, and at that time, Benjamin Orr was playing bass in a band called the Grasshoppers. You may want to check out the other video that I did for Benjamin Orr's grave. And those two guys hit it off. They ended up performing more in the late 60s in Columbus area. Eventually they would pool their resources together and move to Boston area, where they eventually, after they already had hooked up with Greg Hawkins, they ended up taking their act to Boston and forming Milkwood. So that was the early stages of the Cars, before the Cars became the Cars in 1976. But for me, back in the mid to late 70s, I was into that band that you may have heard of, the Devo. And they were kind of one of the early new wave bands that were out there that were kind of weird. They had the song "Are We Not Men, We Are Devo" and stuff like that. And then 1980 came rolling around, and I was waiting for the next big album for them to come out, and that was with Whip It. And I can remember going to Peaches, that was the record store in my area, and I was looking through the albums, and instead of finding Devo, I ended up stumbling upon this band called the Cars with their album Panorama. And they had this tune on there called Touch and Go. And right away, I knew that these guys were just weird enough for me to like, but cool enough where I could listen to them and not get ridiculed like I was getting ridiculed for liking Devo. So I had Devo on one side and the Cars on the other. And and then I started realizing that these Cars guys, these guys are awesome. You know, they had all those hits from early on with Let the Good Times Roll, and then they had Candy-O, that album with Let's Go, and then it just went from there. Ric Ocasek was a huge part of my life, especially in high school. I didn't have to worry about being made fun of because I was a Devo fan. I kind of put that, my cousin would always tell me, why don't you like bands like Cheap Trick and stuff like that? So I kind of figured that the Cars were like a nice compromise between Cheap Trick and Aerosmith and Devo. So they were somewhere in between, just weird enough to be cool for me. I liked how Ric Ocasek wore those glasses and stuff like that, and it just yeah. But Ric Ocasek went on after 1988, the band broke up, and he ended up having a solo career. He actually had 7 solo albums. The guy was busy pretty much right until the very end, and he stayed busy by either writing, he had a solo album where he wrote the song Silver, which, here's Michelle. How you doing, Michelle? Silver is a song that he dedicated to Benjamin Orr after he passed away, because they were like friends their whole lives and stuff. But Benjamin Orr and you know, Ric Ocasek were pretty much writing partners, but unfortunately most of the time Ric Ocasek got most of the credit. And I always wondered if that created a tension between the two of those guys. But he was also did you know that he helped produce some records for some up and coming? There was a band called Suicide, and his son had a band called Glamour Camp. Now, Ric Ocasek was married 3 times, and his first wife had 2 boys. He had 6 kids total, 2 from each of his wives. And his son Christopher was a guitar player, singer, just like Ric Ocasek. And he helped produce his first album with him. Now, that album didn't work out, and you don't always have, you know, success, but he tried to help his son out with that. And yeah, so what do you think, Michelle? Are you glad we found Ric Ocasek's grave?
Oh my God, it was impressive.
It wasn't that hard to find. You're going to leave him a rosary for there? That would be nice. Yeah, put that on top like that. That'd be sweet. Yeah, he's a local guy as far as I'm concerned. We're from the Cleveland area, so, you know, this is pretty cool to be able to come out here to New York at the 9 Partners Cemetery, which is kind of a strange name for a cemetery, but it is a beautiful place. And I just want to say thank you, Ric Ocasek, for being the soundtrack of my life with that song Touch and Go and Panorama. Oh my God, it was good. And shake it up, shake it up. Okay. Hello again. Bow, 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 bow. Okay.
But my song that I got addicted to was You Might Think
I'm great. All I want is you. Okay, yeah, that's good. And this area is I couldn't believe how many people that are in the music industry are from this area. You have Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates. He's got his Daryl Hall Studios not far from here. I think Faith Hill is also part of this area.
Yes.
And Bette Midler, I think, was also mentioned.
And
in
then
that.
who tossed her hat in the 70s?
Tell me, I don't know.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh, yeah.
I have it all.
Wow, good for you. I didn't know that, Michelle. That's pretty cool. Well, anyway, thank you all for joining us at this little memorial for Ric Ocasek. You are missed, and we definitely
missed both of them singing.
He ended up passing away in 2019 of natural causes, but he did struggle with hypertension. It may have been a heart issue, but this is where he is today. So if you're ever in this area of New York, come on out and say hello to Ric. And thank you, Ric. Thank you so much. Hello again. All right, you guys. See you in the next video. Bye.